Here we are, the last video of 2016. Well, I guess kind of. Hello there everybody, how's it going? It's Jessie from Jessie Marie Does Stuff here on FlossTube, and I'm back. Yeah, I know it's been like 24 hours since you last saw me, but as promised, I need to do my update video. And this is going to be my last update for 2016. How exciting. I'm so ready for 2017. Yeah, I'm ready. Ready to put 2016 in the past. It's been a year. Full disclosure, we are having some serious variable light, and I have a very limited amount of time to record because Danny is in town, and so I'm trying to take advantage of the quiet in the house while he's gone, but it's not going to be much longer before he gets back. So, trying to get a lot done in a little bit of time. Thor is here, and he is snoring, as you may be able to hear. I'm not sure. He's currently laying in the sunlight up on the bed up back there. So we'll see if he makes an appearance. I hope he does. I hope that he comes to wish you all a Happy New Year. So let's just kind of jump right in. I don't think that I have any questions from last week. And if I did and I missed them, then I will certainly address them next week. But limited time schedule, I prepped as quickly as I could, and so I didn't pull any questions. So if you have any questions for me, if you want to know anything about my stitching or my plans, feel free to ask them in the comments below, and I will address them next week. So the first thing that we need to talk about is works in progress. So what have I worked on since my last update video? Not since my last video, but my last update. There's been quite a few things. I have 2 works in progress that have some advancements. I also have 2 new starts. Yeah, me, 2 new starts, and a finish. So let's get it going. So last week when I spoke to you, I was working on my Ho Ho Ho. This is a freebie series from Stony Creek. You'll be seeing a preview here of what it looked like the last time I showed it to you. And I was working on this I was working on finishing up the second block, which is the reindeer block. So here's what the whole project will look like finished thereabouts. And as I've said before, this model was done on the Ann cloth, but mine is a little bit different. Mine is on a 28 count antique white cashel linen, and it's opalescent, so it's a little sparkly. And so I'll just go ahead and show you where we got to. So I finished the block, obviously, so we've got a little reindeer there. Ain't she pretty? By the way, thanks everybody to letting me know that female reindeer can have antlers. That's very cool. So yeah, I am holding true to my stance that is a girl. Her eyes are a little bit less girly, having filled in the color, but that's okay. I think she's still very pretty. And then as far as embellishments for this one are concerned, we have 2 little snowflake stars and a big red and green ornament there. So I got that block all finished up. I had a scary moment of thread chicken. It wasn't a scary moment, I was trying to finish up the swirls on the sides of the candy canes and down here on the sides of the bottle itself. Those are done in Weeks Dye Works Envy, and I was trying to get that entire one done using the same skein that I had, and I didn't get it done. I had to break into my second skein, which is fine because, I mean, that's why I got the second skein, but I think I had 3 stitches and I couldn't make it happen. So I did end up working down a little bit to work some into the snowman one. And so that is where that stands. I very well could have stuck with this and finished the project before the end of the year. That wouldn't have been a problem, but we're close enough to the end of the year now where I'm really making conscious efforts to save the big things for 2017, and more specifically for 2017's Stitch from Stash. And so once I get the snowman block in here, then this will count for quite a few dollars as far as credits are concerned towards my Stitch from Stash. So I decided to put this down and move on to something else. So there we have it. That's the Ho Ho Ho. I think that I worked on that reindeer block this time for 4 days. So I'm averaging about 5 to 6 days for each block. The back stitching takes a while. That's probably the most tedious part. So there's that. And then just a quick recap. That's what the snowman block will look like. So there is that. Oh, and then I don't know that I've ever shown this to you guys, but I did order the, let's see, it's craft holder, the bell pull. And I don't have one for the bottom, but I'll find something to put in the bottom of it once we reach this stage. About this time next year, probably. Okay, so then after that, I pulled out, as voted by you guys, the Pumpkin Patch Farm Sampler by the Victoria Sampler. And you'll be seeing a preview here of what this looked like the last time I showed it to you. Can't remember the last time that I had worked on this. I don't have my calendar here, so that's that. And this is what the project will look like finished. So my focus was to get this band done. And this band ended up going a lot faster than I had anticipated. So let me go ahead and pull this out. This is on a 32 count Belfast linen in Harvest Moon by Zweigart. And I officially accomplished 3 bands and started on a 4th. So now you're looking at this going, Jess, how did you get 3 bands done? So I finished the hayride and the scarecrow and the sunflower band. Then down here we have what is called a double herringbone. So there is a herringbone stitch completed using a darker olive and then a pale olive over top of that. The next band, the Pumpkin Patch Farm, that text there, that's a band all on its own. So I finished that up. And that is stitched 1 over 1. And then I got started on the last ginormous band there at the bottom, which is basically the barn, the pumpkins there. There's a lady with a wheelbarrow with pumpkins in it, another tree with the 1 over 1 leaves, which I really like the effect of. And then just 2 more specialty stitch bands after that. Home stretch here. About the bottom third left to do. But it's big, but it's cross stitch, and so it won't be so difficult. Not to mention, I've decided that I don't care to stitch each X at a time using NPI or Krennic Silk Mori. It doesn't make any sense. Those silks aren't variegated, and they are very solid. So there's no need to do them one at a time because there's no variegation to show off. So I don't use the loop method, but I don't do that 1 X at a time. So anyway, so there's that. And those with a keen eye, or those that are on Stitch Mania or Instagram, yes, the characters in the hayride band are headless. I debated stitching them in, the heads in afterward, All of the skin in this piece and hair is 1/1. It's charted as 1/1. And so I was kind of being cheeky, and I just left them headless. And then I was like, well, I'll just do that after Christmas because I'm a little bit macabre like that. But I think I'm going to leave them headless to begin with. Somebody pointed out, it's an autumn piece. I mean, a pumpkin patch farm. So Halloween can be represented here a little bit. And so I'm just going to leave them headless. And I know it's weird, and I know it's a little dark, but I don't care because I think it's kind of fun. And then we have this very menacing scarecrow over here with a crow that don't give a lick because he's sitting there staring at him. I'm pretty sure that this scarecrow is probably responsible for the headless status of our tractor driver and hayride riders. Please don't look too closely at the sunflowers, lazy daisies. I hate that stitch. Ugh, I hate that stitch. I hate that stitch with 2 strands because you have 2 to finagle with. And I hate that stitch with 2 strands of Krennic Silk Mori because Krennic Mori is very splitty. And so my lazy daisies don't look great. This is a really great project, like from a little distance. Ain't it cute? From way back here. So there is that. And I was really pleased with the progress because I was working this over Christmas weekend. And Christmas for me this year was chaotic. I mean, we had a lot of different Christmas parties kind of all over. And so stitching time was limited, but I managed to get that done. And I think I worked on it for 3, maybe 4 days. So that was fun. Again, this is one that I probably could have stuck with it and finished it, but this one's going to be worth quite a bit. And since it's all using the accessory pack, there's, I guess there's bonus credits for using specialty threads. Yeah, so that's going to be a 2017 finish. And that's another of my year of whips, so it kind of makes sense. Okay, so I finished that up, and I still had like a week ahead of me to sort of do whatever I want. And that was a little bit daunting for me. Choosing a project, not an easy task for me. So on the evening of Christmas, we got back home at about 8 o'clock. I finished up the Pumpkin Patch Farm text band for Farm Sampler, and then I'm like, okay, so let's switch projects. Well, they ended up not actually starting it until the day after Christmas on the 26th. I made a new start, obviously. And that is the project that I was talking to you guys about last week. This is the Birthstone Dragon Sal, and it is by Ingleside Imaginarium, who is, the designer behind that is Blimey Cat Stitches, or Brittany. So many names. And so I went ahead and got started. I love this fabric. It is crazy soft, and my Millennium frame isn't very nice to soft fabrics, but I'm making it work. I have a really bad habit of leaving a project on my frame well after I'm done stitching. It's a bad habit, but whatever. But with this, I loosen the tension quite a bit if I'm not stitching on it, or if I'm going to work on it on consecutive days. So anyway, the fabric is by Crafty Kitten Fabrics, and it is a 32 count Belfast. The name of the fabric I finally found out, it's called Sparkling Diamonds. And this was in the Crafty Kitten, she did these exclusive mystery boxes throughout the year of 2016, where you got fabric of your choosing, and then there were some extra bits in there. I think there was Dinky Dye Silk, there was Weeks Dye Works, there were some treasures from Mill Hill. It was just like a pretty box to celebrate April and the birthstone diamonds. So since April's my birth month, I went ahead and got this box. Anyway, so I decided to get started on the dragon sow and to work on the borders. And so you can see I have the first 3 done. I had a couple of start and stops. So originally I wasn't going to use the thread that I did use. I was going to use 2 strands of DMC blended with a strand of blending filament. And that was way too bulky for this 32 count fabric. It didn't lay right. So then I decided to switch it up and go with the called for DMC. I believe it's 3854. And I didn't like that. I wasn't laying right. Part of that is because I was at the end of my skein, and so it was very kinked up from being around the bobbin. But I didn't like how it was laying. So I'm like, this gold border, it's supposed to represent like ring settings, because the whole premise of this design is with birthstones. And so we have stones and ring settings. It's just very jeweled. So I thought, well, sparkly ring settings? I mean, gold is a metallic, like it's a metal, it's shiny. Now, I have a preference towards white gold myself. Yellow gold tends to, I'm a little bit anemic, and so it tends to turn me purple, which is why my rings are white gold. And I just have a preference for white gold, but I thought I want to stick with as close to how Brittany had charted this design. So I went with the yellow gold, and I ended up using Petite Treasure Braid Aztec Gold, which is item number PB26. And so it's pretty and sparkly. And I absolutely love this. I think it's just so pretty. I love that the border around the edges it kind of looks like braided gold. I think it's just so pretty. Now, the way that it's charted in the corners are supposed to have a few more stitches in there. I'm going to try to work in some beads or some sort of crystals or something. I haven't decided quite what yet, but I just kind of want to bling it out a little bit more. Just a little bit more bling. Make it a super shiny piece. So that is that. Now, the fabric that's called for on a 32 count, you only need, I believe it's a fat 1/8. But I just decided to use this whole piece of fabric. The width on this is only 16 inches, and so it would have left me with, if I cut it in half, it would have only left me with about 2 inches on the top and bottom. And I'm more comfortable with more border. So I ended up I'm just going to use the whole piece of fabric for this. And it's maybe a little bit wasteful, but that's okay. I like big projects, and so a fat 1/8 is not really a fabric size that I am normally using. So anyway, if anybody is interested in this sow, that was just sort of like a PSA. If you're interested, you only need a fat 1/8. You don't need a full fat 1/4 for this one. So there's that. Okay. And I think that she even calls for only a fat 1/8 on the 28 count, so very, very reasonable. So there's that, and I will work on that border some more here in the coming days to get further down the border. I don't think that I'm going to have the whole border done because it's beautiful, but, border, it's there's no dragons in there yet. So it's a little bit, I don't want to say boring, but it's a little bit monotonous. And so I'll save some of that border for later, but I have at least the boxes for the first 3 months done. So there's that. Now, December 26th. It was Kate the Queen of Start's birthday, and Kate has taken a step back from social media for some personal reasons, totally understood. But earlier this year, I started a chatelaine on Katie's birthday, Katie the Stash Queen. Coming up in April here, I have a start planned for Garrett Coffee Stitcher's birthday. And so I kind of thought that it would be fun to start something for Kate the Queen of Start's birthday. And how perfect that I started the Dragon's Owl, and then I was going to make another new start on the Queen of Start's birthday. Like, I don't know, I just thought that was fun. So I'm looking through my stash, and I'm like, I wish that I had some smoked-toad Ada, or something from Jeremiah Junction. I thought about pulling out, I have a book, 365 Tiny Cross-Stitch Designs, but I didn't like anything in that, so I decided to go with something more tailored towards something of Kate's aesthetic. And Kate's aesthetic, at least to me, I think that she appreciates the country style designs, and I do too. I very much like that style. And so I pulled out the Paula Vaughn's Quilts for All Seasons book, and I decided to start one of these. So I thought about doing the December quilt because it's December and Kate's birthday's in December, but I decided to switch it up, and I went with the design that actually made me buy this book, and that is the July quilt. And there's actually two quilts there. The patchwork, I believe it's called a 9-patch quilt. Yes, 9-patch quilt in blue and white there. And then there's another one with the American flag style quilt laying over top of it. And I love this scene. The first time that I saw this one, I can't even remember where it was, but I absolutely fell head over heels for that and immediately bought the book. So, Paula Vaughn's Quilts for All Seasons. My other two quilts for all seasons are on 32 count cream Belfast linen. So I asked Danny he was in town for something. I asked him to stop by Hobby Lobby and see if they had any, because I didn't have any on hand. And so he went over there and he was like, nope, there's no 32 count. They've got 28 count. And I'm like, well, I guess that's what it is. So this I'm doing on a 28 count antique white cashel linen by Zweigart. And I'll just go ahead and pull this out and show you the progress that I made. I made some pretty good progress. I only stitched on this that one day. And I started in top middle. So what we got here was some of the siding of the house. And then this is like a rose trellis kind of coming over here. And so I got to do a little bit of the browns and then some of the roses. So there's that. That was just sort of a little start. Kate's been kind of on my mind lately, and I hope that she is okay. But for reference, where is that? So that is in this region right here. Oh, there we go. So that's what I've done so far. And I'm really looking forward to making some more progress on this. I absolutely love these designs. The charts are kind of what you would expect. They are full color charts, and oh, my book's falling apart. I better start being nicer to it. They're full color charts, and Paula Vaughn uses my favorite. You know the symbol that's a square with a bunch of dots in it? Well, she uses that, but like in different colors, for different colors. So you really have to be paying attention to that. So that kind of drives me crazy, but it's alright. Making it work, and so there's that. I love how many colors are in this. It's pretty colorful design. So there's that. And so I will work on this some more in the new year. Okay, so the last project that I worked on, I only worked on July quilt for the day, and then I also worked on the Dragon Sow a couple days ago to satisfy a sow. I was participating in the weekly challenge in Cross Stitch It's Fun, and it was stitch something sparkly for the new year. And so sparkling diamonds, birthstones, gemstones, petite treasure braid. So I finished that up, and then I thought, there's a week left of the year. I should try to finish something, right? I mean, I had set this goal to finish 20 projects in 2016. And so what can I finish up real quickly? My Christmas Star by Liz Almond. So this was a project that I was supposed to have done and FFO'd by the time we left for Michigan. Obviously that didn't happen, but they're finished now. So let me go ahead and pull those out. You'll be seeing a preview here of what it looked like the last time, as well as what the charted design was meant to look like. Mine's a little bit different. So here they are. I still have them on my frame. I finished them up last night and just haven't had an opportunity to remove them from the frame just yet. So all four are a little bit different. And it's charted for just one, but obviously since I was going to make them into cards, I decided to do a multiple of them, and this is actually the first half for me. I'm calling this Christmas Star Part 1. Christmas Star Part 2 will be started at a later date. Like a much later date. I need a break from this style of stitching. So let me see. I started with this one. And this one is the colors as charted. So it's majority red with green accents and then some gold. This one is majority green with red accents and gold. Now, that first one there, you can see there are some big gold eyelets in the four corners, and then the one in the center, obviously. And then there are some smaller eyelets that are shaped more like stars. They're on the tops, bottom, and sides. Okay. And so the second one here is the same, just with the green with red accents instead of red with green accents, and the same use of the gold. The third one, we go back to red with green accents. This one I changed up a bit, and I didn't do such big eyelets. I did some, they're half eyelets, but they really look more like raised stitches there in the corners. And I left the ones on the top and bottom and sides. I left those out. And then with the same gold accents there, just with green as the primary color. And the gold that I used, I believe that it was charted with a Krennic, probably 001 or 002 or something. I decided to use Petite Treasure Braid. And I'm using used Petite Treasure Braid number 26, so again, the Aztec gold. It was also charted with some gold beads, but the beads were supposed to be at the centers of each of these eyelets. Not only could I not figure out in my head how to do that, I thought that it was overkill. So I just decided to omit the beads entirely, and so they will just be some flat stitched little Christmas stars. And there is not a single cross stitch in this entire design. There's backstitch and eyelets, and you want to know how many eyelets I did? Just in the red and green alone, 256. 256 eyelets. It's crazy. Crazy amount of eyelets, but they're pretty. Now, I didn't pull the legs of the eyelets. I didn't open them up a whole lot. I just did them simply. And let's see, those are eyelets over 6, but they are not in every hole of the eyelet. So obviously there's some space. There's only 6 legs per eyelet there. So yeah. And this is done on a 28 count antique white cashel linen, just in case I didn't mention. If you can see some stitching kind of showing through the back there, that is my May by the Cricket collection I was sharing. This was in a bit of a timeshare. So for me, this is finish number 20, Year of Whips finish number 8. I am well on my way to getting all 34 done. The only problem is that all I've got left are the big ones. So I have 34 projects that I had picked for Year of Whips, and I have 8 small ones done. But nonetheless, that's 8 done. So pretty pleased with that. My goal was to have 7 Year of Whips done by the end of the year, so I'm ahead of that. So there we go. And I will FFO these in time for Christmas next year. What else? There was another. Oh, yeah. Okay, so there's one other thing. And that's going to sort of lead us into talking about plans for the next week. So the new year is on Sunday. And January for stitching for me is always chaotic. There's so much going on, and this year is no different. So I've been trying to figure out what I'm going to work on until that point. Now, here's sort of a catch with that. Here today, obviously. I'm not sure how much stitching I'm going to get done today because I have this video to finish, obviously, and then edit and upload. I have my stitching recap video that is going to take a long time to put together. I'm about 10% through. So I have to get that done and uploaded. And then Virginia Tech is playing tonight. Our bowl game is against Arkansas Razorbacks at 5:30. And so there's that. So like there's a lot happening today. So I don't know how much stitching I'm going to get done today. Tomorrow is Danny's birthday, and we are headed down to Blacksburg by way of Harrisonburg. We're going to go visit Danny's aunts for a bit. And then head down to Blacksburg. Saturday is the Virginia Tech Duke basketball game, which we are going to. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So we should get back in town probably, I want to say by 7, maybe 8 o'clock Saturday night. So there's not going to be any stitching tomorrow or really even on Saturday. So I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to work on between now and then. Because like I said, New Year's going to be crazy. So I think that I'm going to try to work on my Dragon Sal by Ingleside Imaginarium. However, I have one issue with that. And that is the amount of petite treasure braid that I have left. This is it. This is all that I have left. And so we shall see how far I can get with this. Okay, so since the Dragon Sal obviously won't work for very long, you know, I don't have a whole lot of time to stitch, but I do have a little bit of time here. So I was trying to figure out what else I'm going to work on. And I decided on finishing out the year the way that I started the year. And that is with my Autumn Fairy by Chatelaine. And I've talked to you guys about this before, but this was the very first chatelaine that I ever came across. And so I finally got started on it on the first of the year this year. And I have worked on it a little bit since, but This, I think, will be my next chatelaine focus once Frosty Knot Garden is done, but a couple hours to stitch on this during the end of the year, so the very bitter end. And so this is the progress that I've made, and you'll be seeing a preview of what this will look like finished up. So that's what I've got there. I have a little bit more work to do here on this top band, and then I'll probably finish up that top band and be able to work a little bit further down. So there's that. I absolutely love chatelaine designs. Can't get over them. Just beautiful. And this fabric is 32 count Belfast in Mellow from Picture This Plus. So it's like a soft, it's almost orangey, but without being very orangey, and you probably can't see it very well. But so there's that. So we'll work on that for a little bit before we ring in the new year officially. Okay, and then the last thing that I might work on, if for whatever reason I choose not to work on Autumn Fairy, I can work on the Fantasy Sal by Lakeside Needlecraft and Doreen Jones. And the January Black will release midnight UK time Saturday night, but that's about 7 o'clock my time. So I may get started on that January Black that evening, but there's no telling. I will, of course, report back next week to showcase whatever I do decide to work on. And so that black will go in right there. Here's where the piece currently stands. This is on 32 count Belfast in Heroic by Picture This Plus. So there's that. Absolutely love this project. Very much looking forward to seeing it progress and seeing what other kind of fantastical creatures we're gonna get. Okay, so let's talk about January a little bit, because as I said, January in the stitching world, it's always crazy. There's the New Year new starts, there's the new sals that start up, there's regular stitching, and there's just a lot happening. So I'm first going to tell you the 5 projects that I plan on starting in the new year, in January specifically. There are several projects that I'm going to be starting next year that are planned new starts, but this is just January. We'll just talk January for now. The month-long Stitch-Along in Stitch Mania is New Year, New Start, so that's sort of why I decided to do 4, and then I have 1 extra. So, the very first week of January, I will be working an hour-ish each day on my first new start for the year, which is January by the Cricket Collection. How fitting that I should finally be getting some good headway on this series. So I'll just pan in here real quickly. This one has no buttons and it has no silk, so it's all DMCs. And I'm really looking forward to this one. I think it's really pretty. And this I will be stitching on 28 count Ice Blue Catch-All Linen. This is by Zweigart. And I have a fat quarter here. I'm only going to be using the top half. And so the other half will be for my other half of my Christmas stars. But again, I'm not doing that just yet. So I think that will look really nice. This one is kitted up. It's ready to go. So that once the ball drops and all of that, I can get started on this project. So that's my first new start. Okay, my second new start is Earth Goddess by Joan Elliott. And this one, I wanted to make my January 1st new start, but I am focusing on the Cricket collections during my Sal's week of my rotation, and so it just had to be that one. So The Earth Goddess by Joan Elliott. This beautiful, beautiful lady. Very excited to start her. And this will be my new start and Sal project that I work on for about an hour every day from the 8th through the 14th. And the fabric that I'm using is Dried Thistle. This is by Hand Dyed Fabrics by Stephanie. And I think she's going to look absolutely gorgeous on this. I love, it's very autumnal. And the earth sign is well, I guess that it works. It works. Dried Thistle. Beautiful, beautiful. I thought about using my Cardigan, also by Hand Dyed by Stephanie, but I just decided to stick with my original plan. So that is that. This one's not yet kitted. I need to focus on that at some point next week. So much stitching next week. Okay. Next, on the 15th and the week following, I will be starting the Clouds Factory Fabulous Women in History 2017 Sal. The Clouds Factory new Sal each year releases on the 15th, and I don't know why that is, but that's the way of it. And so I will be starting that on the 15th, I hope. The reason I say I hope is that the fabric that I'm going to be using is the fabric of the month from Under the Sea Fabrics for December. And it's called Kione, or Kione. It's spelled Khione. And it's a beautiful soft blues and purples. And so I will be starting that Clouds Factory design as soon as that fabric arrives. I haven't yet acquired the Weeks Dye Works for that, so I might need to do that as well. But we'll see what happens. I looked at substituting the Weeks Dye Works that are called for, but a couple of them are highly variegated, and there's some specific colors that I just don't have anything that matches, so I'll have to figure something out. So the tentative plan, depending on all of those things, is that I will be starting that on the 15th and working on it as much as I can during that time period. So there's that. Next, on the 22nd, is my 4th new start for the new year, new start Sal in Stitch Mania. And for that, I will be starting my Tingles by Lizzie Kate. And I showed this to you last week because of the haul that I got from last week. So I am blending some of the called for colors with some hand dyes from my stash. Fun palette there. And just a quick preview, that's what this first, so I'll be working on Ghosties and Ghoulies, this one right here, during that week. And yeah, I am working on starting this on the called for milk chocolate linen. This is 28 count milk chocolate from Witchelt. Very stiff, but that's how it goes. This linen is always so strange because you can see straight through it. Anywho, so I'll be starting that. Now the reason that I'm starting Tingles is that in 2017, Stitch Mania has this series of stitch-alongs. There's 2 of them. There's Christmas All Year Round and Trick or Treat All Year Round, or Halloween All Year Round. I can't remember. But it's basically a year-long stitch-along, one for Christmas and one for Halloween. So for Halloween, I'll be working on Lizzie Kate's Tingles, and so each month I'll do the next block. Conveniently, there's 12. So hopefully I will have a Halloween finish by December for 2018's FFOing. Lizzie Kate's Jingles, which I started last year, I will be working on that one block each month, just the same as the Tingles. So I will have a Christmas finish by Christmas of next year. That's the hope anyway. We'll see about timing and whatnot. So yeah, so that's my plan, and that's why I decided to start the tingles. So I have the jingles and the tingles and all kinds of angles. Oh, and Ingleside Imaginarium. Look at that. Time to start reading The Girl on the Prairie. No. Little House on the Prairie. Whoops. Okay, so that's that. Now, I said 5 new starts. In addition to the New Year New Start month-long sale, Stitch Mania is also having a Year of Start sale. Boy, the sun just went behind a great big gray cloud. That was amazing. Okay. So it's a Year of Start sale, and it's occurring on the 17th of each month. Why the 17th? Because it's 2017. And originally, I was not doing this thing. Like, I don't need 12 additional new starts. I don't need it. However, it's gonna rain. It was so sunny just now, and now it's gonna rain. Anyway, distracted. I changed my mind. And so I will be participating in this Year of Start sale. So I'll be starting 1 project a month every month. But I'm going to do some Mill Hill kits because I really loved those. And I have some Mill Hill kits in my stash that I have no planned start dates for. And I just kind of feel like starting them. So I'm theming them around the month. So for instance, I have one of the sugar skulls, and I'll be doing that one probably in October. I was contemplating November because Dia de los Muertos is November the 1st and 2nd, I think. But I'm going to make that, I'm going to do the sugar skull in October. I have the Love, it's like the heart that says love in it. I'm going to do that one in February because hello, perfect. So I'm just going to try to start one themed around the month or a holiday in that area. St. Patrick's Day, spring. My wedding anniversary is in June. Summertime, football, autumn. I'm going to theme them. So the one that I'm starting in January is called Snowflakes. Now it's en route, but it's not here yet, and it's probably not going to be here until Saturday. I'm going to insert a preview here of what it looks like, and it's just some pretty snowflakes. I just thought it would be nice to have like a little pretty ornament. And I have an FFO idea, but I'm not going to share that just yet. I'm going to get it finished and then sort of figure that out from there. So, yeah. So I'm kind of excited because I'm going to get to do some more Mill Hill kits. You guys know I love those. But participate, because FOMO. Everything I'm doing is for the never-ending Stitch Mania sales. Yeah. Okay. So that is my January plans. Oh, also, I'm going to insert a preview here of what my rotation is going to look like moving forward. This is crazy. So in 2017, Stitch Mania has the month-long sale. So January, it's the New Year, New Start. They also have a month-long designer series. It's called the Tour des Designers. And so the designer focus for January is Joan Elliott. And because my focus is on Year of Whips, I don't have my final 8 of 2017 or whatever like I did for this year. So I'm going to try, where I can, to focus on a Year of Whip during a week for the Tour des Designers. Does that make sense? So for instance, January is Joan Elliott. One of my Year of Whips pieces is Rose Fairy by Joan Elliott. So I'm going to take a week and focus on that piece for a week. I hope I'm explaining that right. So on my calendar, you will see the bold header. I believe it's F/TDD. So that's focus/Tour des Designers. The reason that there's the focus piece in it is that there are going to be some month where the Tour des Designers, I don't have a year of whips for that. And I'm not making a new start necessarily just to have a project for the Tour de Designer sale. So Chatelaine is not one of the Tour de Designers, so 1 month I will insert my Frosty Knot Garden as a focus. I believe that's in February, actually, where I'll be focusing on that Frosty Knot Garden because that's one of my big projects I want to get done next year, that I will be getting done next year. So that's what that's about. My plan is that each month, so my rotation is continuing. Week 1 is Sal's, and my Sal's this year are going to be Clouds Factory, Fabulous Women in History, Lakeside Needlecraft during Jones Fantasy Sal, Dragon Sal by Ingleside Imaginarium, and the Cricket Collection monthly series. So those 4 projects I'll be working on in the first week of each month. Week 2 is going to continue to be my Heaven and Earth Designs week, and in January, Heaven and Earth Designs, like I've talked about and ranted about a little bit, is the new Heaven and Earth Designs Challenge. And so I'm just going to show you here what I'll be working on. I'll be working on April by Anna Dittman. And you guys know I did pages 1 and 2 over here for a couple of challenges this past year. And I will be working on my 3rd page, but it's actually, I believe it's the 7th page of the pattern. So I will be working on this page down here, this one right below page 1. So that's where this project currently stands. Drop my hanging threads there. This page is eligible because I don't have any parked threads and I don't have any threads feathered into it, so that's one is eligible. I could do page 3, but I kind of want to do this where I work on this one and then I work this row of pages and then this diagonal of pages. I don't know why, but that's just kind of how I feel about it. I'd really like to get into some of the darker blues. I'm really excited to see those darker shades of blue. So that's another reason. So that's that. So that's week 2. Week 3, like I said, is that Tour de Designers week, so I will be working on my Rose Fairy by Joan Elliott. But I'm going to show you that when we get a little bit closer. Week 4, I've decided that the first 3 days of week 4 are going to be devoted to my Jingles and Tingles. So that's that J/T denotion that you see there. I figure that 3 days, depending on my outside of stitching life schedule, that should be the right amount of time to get those blocks done. Just 2 blocks, very small. I can do that in 3 days. So that's that. And then the rest of the week, for week 4, will be a daily rotation through the rest of my year of whips. And this year I am not excluding anything, so you will see in that week 4, I think Persephone comes up. She is a focus piece, one of my focus 8 from this year, but she needs some extra time. So I'm not ignoring, or excuse me, I am not ignoring the other categories. My other whips that aren't Year of Whips aren't going to see a whole lot of love this year, but that's okay. They will have their time in the sun, which is ironic because there is no sun. It is gone. That's amazing. So, yeah, so that's kind of my plans moving forward. As far as goals are concerned, somebody's asked me about my specific stitching goals for 2017. Year of Whips. I want to get that challenge accomplished. If I can get that done, then I will count the year successful. Now I have some other goals. I want to do 10 Heaven and Earth Designs pages. If not, I wanted to say 20 Heaven and Earth Designs pages, but I think that that's a little outside of the realm of possibility. So I'm going to say between 10 and 12 Heaven and Earth Designs pages. I did 4 this year. I did 12 in 2015. So we'll see. And then Stitch from Stash. Those are my goals. So that's it. I'm keeping it very low key, very simple. Okay, since we don't have any sunlight, I'm really glad that I'm done showing projects. I have just a couple more things to talk about. I have some Stitchy acquisitions. I got a wonderful Christmas present from my mother-in-law and father-in-law for Christmas, and so I'm going to go ahead and show that to you. So they told me that I had to save this one package for last while we were opening gifts on Christmas Day, and I'm like, I want that one now. So I pick up this package, and this is what I hear. Can you hear that? So I'm like, oh, those are beads. I like beads. I like beads. So I open this up, and this is what I see on top. And I'm like, okay, I have no idea what that is. So there's some beads there. There's a whole lot of beads there, actually. And some DMCs. And this linen. And I'm like, what is that? So this is a witch linen. And I believe that this... What is this? This is toasted almond linen by Witchelt. And I don't know where they got it from, because it's not serged, so it's not a 1, 2, 3 stitch linen. Don't think. But, so I'm like, well, what is this? So, keep in mind, this is the top of my package, so I pull this stuff out, and underneath is Stargazer. How pretty is she? So, I don't know how much I've talked about this on my channel before. I know that I mentioned it yesterday. I think I mentioned it yesterday. Yes, I did. This is the project that I'm most looking forward to starting in 2017. I am doing this piece as a commemoration for the Virginia Tech tragedy. The 10-year anniversary is on April 16th, and so I'm doing this as a commemoration. Her pose is just, I don't know, it gives the, like, she's sending prayers, she's sending hopes, she is, she's lost, but she's pensive, she's thinking of someone, she's thinking of love, she's thinking of family. I think that this is a really great piece to do for commemoration. So I'm doing a conversion, which I have to figure out myself. And I don't believe that my in-laws knew that I was going to be doing a conversion. So those DMCs will go into my stash, and of course I will use them. But I am changing all of the colors for this design. So her top coat here will be in maroon. The skirts down here in the darker shade of blue, those are going to be, I believe I'm going to do that part in grays. So grays in her skirts there. And then her skirts here, I'm going to do in burnt oranges, because our colors are maroon and orange. The ribbon that's sort of here in her hair and here at the back of her skirts, I'm going to do in black and dark grays, because the ribbon for the Virginia Tech tragedy was a black ribbon. I might keep the beads the same because of the representation of stars and whatnot there. I won't be using the toasted almond linen. The linen that I'm going to be using is the Fabric of the Month from Hand Dyed by Stephanie for December, and it's called Winter Wishes. And it's this beautiful soft gray that makes me think of gray limestones. And as you may know, Virginia Tech is covered in limestone. In fact, it's called Hokie stone. Now, there are some different shades of limestone. There's the Tanner range, and then there's the brown range and the green range, and then there are some gray stones. So I think that this will look really nice on a soft gray background with the beautiful maroon and orange colors for her. Yeah, so I am so excited for this. I'm going to start this project probably in April. Yeah, so there's my girl. There's my stargazer. So, that is that. And that's all of the Stitchy acquisitions that I got within the last week or so. Like I said, I have that Mill Hill kit on the way, and there's a couple of other little things coming with it, so I'll show those to you next time. Okay. Next, let's switch gears a little bit and we'll talk about books. Because I didn't get a chance to talk about books yesterday since there was a big bulldog right about here. So I haven't been reading John Adams. There just hasn't been enough quiet focus time to really just sit and listen to John Adams and to really take in what's being said. So that's kind of on hold for a little bit. I'll try to pick it back up in January, but that's kind of dependent on a couple of things. So when we went to Michigan, I decided to take a book with me to read on the plane, because I can't read in the car, but I can read on a plane, which is bizarre, but it's the way it goes. John Adams is a big, heavy book, and like I said, it's a little too dense for straight reading for me right now, so I decided to take something else. And so I picked up my old favorite, fantasy. So this is adult fantasy, and this is a very, very, it's a well-loved series, and it's only part the way through the series at this point. I think that the second book was just published. Was it in December or was it August? Within the last third of the year. And I believe it's a total of 7 books. I'm pulling this information totally out of my head. Anyway, so this is the 5th season, and it is written by N.K. Jemisin. And one of my goals for 2017 is to read more diversely. And so I want to read not only fantasy written by women, but fantasy written by women who are not white. Fantasy is a white, male-dominated genre, and some of the best writers are passed up because they aren't white men. So I'm going to make a focused effort to read from people of color and from women. And N.K. Jemisin is an African-American woman, and she is a phenomenal writer. I have another of her books that I haven't read yet. So anyway, this I decided to pick this one up. I'm only about 40 pages into it. It's a very short flight to Michigan, so it's not a whole ton of reading time. It's so good so far. It is epic fantasy. It's high fantasy. It is taking place on a planet that is not our own, even though there are some similarities. It's really good. It is kind of a, let's see, the tagline here, every age must come to an end. So it's an end of the world kind of scenario and the repercussions of such. It's so good. It's so good so far. And I'm only 40 pages into it. So I'm very much looking forward to this. Ooh, there's extras. There's like... Oh, this is from 100,000 Kingdoms. Okay, so 100,000 Kingdoms is the other book of hers that I have. Anywho, very much looking forward to reading this and to talking more about it, but I'm not quite far enough to really have thoughts other than it's so good so far. So there's that. So, let's talk about plans for books, because I have some more specific goals for what I want 2017 to look like book-wise. The first of those goals is that I want to read more. As of today, I read 29 books this year. And 3-4 years ago, I read over 90 books. I think I reached 105 or something. And I'm a reader. Like, I am a self-proclaimed, I am a reader. So it doesn't sit well with me that I haven't read very much this year. Not only that, but so many of the books that I've read this year were rereads. I think I read 13 rereads of those 29 books, and that doesn't sit well with me. So I want to read 12 books published in 2017 next year. I want to read 45 books next year. I want to read 10 chunksters, 10 books greater than 500 pages, and I want to read more diversely. So, to sort of help me read more diversely, I decided to sign up for a challenge, and I signed up for the Pop Sugar 2017 Reading Challenge, and it is a total of 52 books from various topics. Now, I don't hold any assumption that I'm going to read 52 books next year. And I also know that I'm going to be wanting to read stuff off my own shelves or stuff that I want to read. So my goal is to complete 26. I want to complete 26 of this Pop Sugar Challenge. So I was looking at this list going, okay, so how on earth do I just pick the 26 that I'm going to do? And I'm like, well, no, because if I do that, then I'm going to skip over ones like there's one of the tasks for the Pop Sugar Challenge is a career advice book. I would totally skip that. But the goal is to read outside of my comfort zone a little bit, right? I don't want to read a year of 40 some odd books in fantasy by white men. And that's the box that I have lived in, or white women. So I am using my TBR jar. So this is a jar that I created a couple years ago in the hopes that it would force me to read the books on my shelf. And so I created all these little sticky notes of the books that I have on my shelf, and I stuck them in here and tried to use this for that. Well, what ended up happening is that I would pull a piece of paper, read the title of the book, and ignore it. Okay, so I have all of the tasks here in this jar. My goal is to pull out 2 every month, and I'm going to do whatever it says. So I'm pulling them here on camera so that you guys can hold me accountable. So this is, I'm going to draw the 2 for January. So I'm going to shake this up real quick. Okay. Here we go. You and you. Now, the Pop Sugar Challenge this year has an advanced, and I have those labeled in purple. One of those advanced is a book greater than 800 pages. So I don't know how I'm going to handle that quite yet. I can't imagine reading a book that's 800 pages and something else in a month, but we'll see. So I'm going to show you the first one that I pulled, and it is Difficult Topic. Well, I always like reading about difficult topics. So, Difficult Topic, okay? Oh, I pulled 2 from the advanced. How do I know that? Because they're written in purple. And then this one, Based on Mythology. That's ironic. I read from mythology all the time. Based on Mythology. So while I'm editing this video here, I'm going to figure out what those 2 books are, and I will insert them here so that you can see what books I plan on reading for those 2 topics. and I am going to hope that you hold me accountable. So I need a book that's a difficult topic and a book that's based on mythology. Very exciting. So glad I didn't pull the 800-page one in January. With all of the stitching that's going on in January, 800 pages is going to be a task. So I'll be reading those 2 in January. I have some other plans for books I want to read in January, but I'm going to figure those out first and then I'll iron that down. So, we talked about books, we talked about stitching, we talked about some plans. I think that's it for me. So I am going to head off. Before I go, though, I just want to say thank you guys so much for a wonderful year. It's been a fantastic 2016 for me. At least stitching-wise, at least floss tube community-wise. And I am looking forward to seeing what 2017 brings. I hope that you all have a wonderful new year and a safe new year. Please don't do anything stupid, no drinking and driving. And yeah, we'll see what happens. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.